Chosen ones, God is about to shock everyone who thought you were forgotten. My beloved child, there is a silence around your name that people misread as absence. They assumed nothing was happening because nothing was loud. They mistook patience for weakness, waiting for being forgotten, and restraint for defeat. But what they couldn't see was the preparation happening in the background. The long pauses. The unanswered prayers that were shaping endurance. The closed doors that were teaching precision. You weren't removed from the story, you were moved off stage. And that distinction changes everything. Because when attention disappears, pressure disappears too. And without pressure, growth becomes honest. Don't skip, because this moment explains why the narrative around you is about to flip without warning. Here's the shocking truth most people never consider: being overlooked is often protection, not punishment. While others were performing, you were being refined. While others were being praised, you were being prepared. The waiting wasn't empty, it was intentional. Every delay carved depth. Every quiet season built stability. That's why you didn't break when expectations fell away. You adapted. You learned how to move without validation. And now, the same people who assumed you were done will struggle to understand how you advanced without noise. This isn't about revenge or recognition. It's about timing. And timing is never rushed when it's deliberate. Stay till the end, because the reason this reversal will shock people is not speed, it's contrast. What's coming next won't arrive as an announcement. It will arrive as undeniable alignment. Opportunities fitting too cleanly to be coincidence. Momentum returning without desperation. Confidence settling in without explanation. Something huge is waiting for you, not to prove anyone wrong, but to reveal who stayed consistent when no one was watching. Remember this phase. The quiet. The misunderstanding. The season where you were counted out. Because when the shift becomes visible, people won't believe how long it was forming. And you'll know the truth: they didn't forget you. They just couldn't see what was being built in silence. There's a reason the silence around you lasted longer than you expected. Silence creates contrast, and contrast is what makes outcomes undeniable. When people thought you were forgotten, you were actually being removed from comparison. No spotlight. No pressure to perform. No expectations to satisfy. That space wasn't empty, it was strategic. You learned how to operate without applause, how to stay disciplined without witnesses, how to believe without reinforcement. Most people collapse when attention fades. You didn't. You stabilized. And that stability is exactly why what's coming next won't wobble when it appears. Don't skip, because this is the point where misunderstanding turns into shock. Here's the part that catches people off guard every time: real elevation doesn't announce itself while it's happening. It hides. It looks like stagnation from the outside. People assumed you were stuck because nothing dramatic was visible. What they missed was the internal shift. Your patience sharpening, your focus narrowing, your standards rising quietly. That's why when movement returns, it won't look gradual to them. It will look sudden. Effortless. Almost unfair. If this perspective resonates with you, share it with someone who's been quietly holding it together too. Leave a thoughtful comment, not for noise, but for clarity. And if this kind of narration keeps you grounded and locked in, subscribe once and move forward. No pressure. Just alignment. Stay till the end, because the final realization explains why this phase had to be misunderstood. The truth is, nothing ahead is meant to surprise you, it's meant to confirm you. Confirm that the waiting wasn't wasted. Confirm that being overlooked was protection. Confirm that your consistency mattered even when no one acknowledged it. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic reveal, but as a clear response to who you became in silence. When people finally notice, they'll call it sudden. You'll call it earned. And the difference between those two perspectives is exactly why this moment is about to shock everyone who thought you were forgotten. What happens next is the part no one prepares you for, because it doesn't feel explosive at first. It feels controlled. Almost calm. That's how you know it's real. The moment people start noticing you again won't come with chaos, it will come with confusion. They'll sense something changed, but they won't be able to trace when. That's because the shift didn't happen outside. It happened while you were unseen. While assumptions were being made about you, your foundation was solidifying. You weren't chasing attention, you were building capacity. And capacity is what holds success when it finally shows up. Don't skip, because this explains why the return of visibility won't overwhelm you the way it does others. Here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization most people miss: being forgotten forces you to meet yourself without distraction. No audience. No praise. No shortcuts. That's where identity locks in. And once identity locks in, outcomes have no choice but to follow. You didn't lose momentum, you internalized it. That's why your confidence now feels quiet, not fragile. That's why pressure doesn't shake you the same way. You've already faced absence, and absence trained you to stand alone. Stay till the end, because this internal independence is the reason what's coming won't be taken from you once it arrives. The final truth settling in now is simple but heavy: the delay wasn't denial, it was timing. You weren't being tested for patience alone, you were being prepared for permanence. What's about to unfold won't fade quickly, because it wasn't built quickly. Something huge is waiting for you, not to make noise, but to make sense of everything you endured quietly. And when people finally realize you were never forgotten, only hidden, the shock won't be in your rise, it will be in how ready you are to stand there without flinching. There's a moment when preparation ends and positioning begins, and it doesn't feel dramatic, it feels settled. That's where you are now. The silence didn't just strengthen you, it clarified you. You know what you will no longer tolerate. You know what you won't chase. And you know exactly how you move when pressure returns. This is why the next phase won't shake you. People expect noise before impact, but real shifts arrive quietly and land heavy. Don't skip, because this is where being forgotten turns into undeniable contrast. Here's what will shock them the most: you won't return asking for space, you'll already fit perfectly into it. While they assumed you were waiting, you were aligning. While they thought you were delayed, you were being recalibrated. That's why the re-entry feels sudden to them. It isn't luck. It's timing meeting readiness. If this message feels like it's putting words to something you've lived through, share it with someone who's been misunderstood in silence too. Leave a thoughtful comment, not for attention, but for connection. And if this kind of grounded narration keeps you locked in and aware, subscribe once and move forward. No pressure. Just alignment. Stay till the end, because the final realization reframes everything about what's about to happen. The truth is, you were never meant to rise the same way others did. Your path required disappearance before distinction. What's coming won't need explanation or defense, it will explain itself. Something huge is waiting for you, not to surprise you, but to reveal how precise the timing always was. When people finally look again, they won't see someone who survived being forgotten. They'll see someone who used it. And that's the part they'll never forget. Now the atmosphere around you changes, even if no one says it out loud. People sense a shift before they understand it. Conversations pause when you speak. Opportunities linger a little longer. Not because you demanded attention, but because presence has weight. This is the after effect of the season they misjudged. When someone survives being unseen without losing direction, they return with gravity. You're no longer reacting to life, you're influencing it quietly. Don't skip, because this is the phase where results begin responding faster than explanations. What they don't realize is that being forgotten taught you restraint. You learned how to wait without weakening. How to observe without resentment. How to prepare without panic. That kind of inner control can't be taught, it has to be lived. And now, when momentum starts building again, it builds clean. No desperation attached. No emotional leaks. Just steady progress that doesn't need permission. This is why the shift feels permanent. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're simply positioned to receive what matches the person you became in silence. Stay till the end, because this understanding removes the last trace of doubt about why this moment feels different. Here's the truth that completes this phase: nothing about what's coming is accidental. The pause had purpose. The absence had design. You weren't delayed. You were insulated from outcomes that would have arrived too early. Something huge is waiting for you, not to make noise, but to make sense. And when it becomes visible, the shock won't be that you rose, it will be that you rose so calmly, so steadily, as if you always knew this moment was coming. Now comes the phase where control replaces anticipation. You're no longer wondering if things will shift, you're adjusting how you'll handle it when they do. That calm you feel isn't uncertainty fading. It's readiness settling in. The season of being overlooked trained you to move without emotional spikes, without needing reassurance. That's why your reactions are slower but sharper now. You observe more. You speak less. You act with timing. And timing is what separates people who rise briefly from those who stay. Don't skip, because this is where the final internal lock clicks into place. What's about to surprise people isn't just progress, it's composure. They expected hunger, noise, urgency. Instead, they'll meet certainty. You won't rush to explain your journey or justify your absence. You won't need to announce growth. Your stability will do the talking. This is the advantage no one can imitate, strength built without an audience. That kind of strength doesn't crumble under pressure, because it was shaped by pressure. Stay till the end, because understanding this explains why the return of visibility won't disrupt your balance. Here's the truth that seals this chapter. You didn't lose time, you gained clarity. And clarity makes progress efficient. What's coming next will feel natural, not overwhelming, because you already adjusted internally while no one was paying attention. Something huge is waiting for you, not to elevate you suddenly, but to align with the person you quietly became. Keep moving the way you've learned to move, measured, grounded, unshaken. Because now, when the world finally looks again, it won't see someone trying to rise. It will see someone already standing. This is the moment where everything feels steady instead of suspenseful, and that's how you know the shift is real. You're no longer bracing for change, you're positioned inside it. The weight you carry now isn't pressure, it's presence. People feel it before they understand it. They sense that you're not reaching anymore. You're allowing. That difference is subtle, but it changes how doors open and how resistance dissolves. Don't skip, because this steadiness explains why what happens next won't need momentum to survive. What they never saw was how being forgotten trained your nervous system to stay calm while outcomes stayed unclear. You learned how to move forward without reassurance, how to keep standards high without external reward. That's why nothing rattles you now. Praise won't inflate you. Criticism won't shrink you. You already passed through the hardest test, continuing without recognition. And once someone survives that, they don't rush when attention returns. They choose carefully. They move with precision. Stay till the end, because this restraint is what keeps success from slipping through your hands. Here's the final truth of this stage: the shock won't be in how high you rise, but in how grounded you remain when you do. Something huge is waiting for you, not as chaos, not as noise, but as alignment finally becoming visible. The world will call it sudden. You'll recognize it as the natural outcome of patience, discipline, and silence. And in that moment, it won't matter who doubted or who disappeared, because you'll be exactly where you were being prepared to stand all along. Now you begin to notice how little effort it takes to stay on course. That's not laziness, it's alignment. The internal resistance that once slowed you down has dissolved, and what's left is a smooth, deliberate pace. You're not pushing forward anymore. You're being carried by consistency. This is what happens when someone is shaped in silence long enough to trust their own direction. Don't skip, because this ease is the proof that the preparation phase worked. What shocks people most is not the progress itself, but how calmly you handle it. No rush to explain. No need to prove. You've already faced the hardest condition, being unseen, and survived it without losing yourself. That's why success doesn't feel foreign now. It feels familiar, like something you rehearsed quietly. This is also why the right opportunities don't drain you, they fit you. Stay till the end, because understanding this keeps you from sabotaging what arrives by trying to relive old habits. Here's the realization that settles everything: being forgotten didn't shrink you, it refined you. It stripped away noise, urgency, and dependency on reaction. What remains is someone who can move forward without distortion. Something huge is waiting for you, not as a dramatic reveal, but as a natural continuation of the discipline you built when no one was watching. Keep walking the way you are, measured, calm, certain. Because now, even when attention returns, you won't need it to move forward. There's a quiet authority in how you move now, and it doesn't ask permission. You don't scan the room for approval. You don't adjust your pace to match noise. You enter, assess, and proceed. That's not arrogance. It's alignment finally settling into behavior. Being forgotten trained you to rely on structure instead of reaction, and structure creates freedom. Don't skip, because this is the moment where consistency stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. What people don't see is how much restraint lives behind this calm. You learned when not to speak. When not to act. When to wait without weakening your resolve. That restraint is why momentum sticks when it arrives. While others burn through opportunity with urgency, you conserve energy and extend outcomes. This is why progress feels durable now. Not flashy. Not fragile. Durable. Stay till the end, because this durability is the difference between a moment and a chapter. Here's the truth completing this phase: nothing ahead requires a louder version of you. It requires the same standard you've already proven you can hold. Something huge is waiting for you, not to test your strength, but to match it. When the shift becomes obvious to everyone else, you won't feel surprised. You'll feel steady. Because the work that mattered most was done when no one was paying attention, and that's exactly why what comes next will last. This is where movement feels intentional instead of reactive. You're no longer responding to what life throws at you, you're choosing how to engage. That choice alone changes the weight of every step. Being forgotten taught you how to move without noise, without urgency, without the need to prove anything. And now that ability has matured into clarity. You don't rush outcomes. You position yourself for them. Don't skip, because this positioning is why the next shift won't feel sudden to you, only to everyone else. Notice how your confidence doesn't spike or dip anymore. It stays level. That's because it isn't borrowed from results, it's built from discipline. Discipline practiced in silence creates a self-trust that doesn't crack under attention. This is why praise won't distract you and pressure won't rush you. You already learned how to move forward when no one noticed. Stay till the end, because this internal balance is what protects everything you've earned. Here's the closing truth of this phase: you didn't wait to be remembered, you became undeniable. Something huge is waiting for you, not to change who you are, but to reveal who you've already been becoming. Keep moving the same way. Keep honoring the standard you built in the quiet. Because when recognition finally arrives, it won't define you. It will simply confirm what was already there. At this stage, even attention feels optional. You no longer move toward it, and you no longer avoid it, you remain centered either way. That balance is rare, and it only comes from having walked through obscurity without losing direction. Being forgotten didn't harden you, it stabilized you. You know what matters now, and more importantly, you know what doesn't. That clarity simplifies every decision you make. Don't skip, because this simplicity is the reason your next chapter won't be chaotic. What people won't understand is how calm you are when things finally line up. They expect excitement, urgency, emotion. Instead, they'll see focus. That's because you already processed the hard part in silence. You already made peace with uncertainty. So when momentum returns, it doesn't overwhelm you, it fits you. This is why progress feels natural instead of rushed. Stay till the end, because this natural pace is what keeps growth from collapsing under its own weight. Here's the truth that seals everything: you were never forgotten, you were being positioned. And now that positioning is complete enough to move forward without friction. Something huge is waiting for you, not to test you, but to work with the person you became when no one was watching. Keep moving the same way. Quietly. Deliberately. Because the world doesn't need to understand your process, it only needs to see the results. This is the moment where the story stops feeling unfinished. Not because everything is visible, but because everything is anchored. You no longer wake up questioning your direction, you wake up protecting it. That's how you know the transformation is real. The version of you that needed reassurance has stepped aside. What remains is someone who moves with quiet certainty, even when outcomes aren't fully revealed yet. Don't skip, because this certainty is the final signal that the season of being overlooked has done its work. What shocks people most isn't your rise, it's your composure while rising. They expected emotion, reaction, explanation. Instead, they'll meet steadiness. That's because you already learned how to stand alone when no one was clapping. You already learned how to continue when nothing responded. And that training made you unshakable. When things begin aligning publicly, you won't feel overwhelmed. You'll feel familiar with the weight. Like you've carried it before, in private. Stay till the end, because this is the difference between someone who peaks, and someone who lasts. Here's how this chapter closes, cleanly and without noise: you were never forgotten. You were being shaped for permanence. Something huge is waiting for you, not as chaos, not as drama, but as confirmation. Confirmation that silence refined you. That waiting matured you. That absence strengthened you. And when the world finally looks again, it won't see someone trying to prove they matter. It will see someone who already knows.